for Youth Empowerment for Universal Franchise, which is a very fancy and complicated way of saying getting young people to vote. But it also sounds like youth, and it's got EU in it, so this is why we went for it. We're organising events in all 27 countries across the EU member states, and we've got a social media campaign targeting the youth. We've got a whole range of stuff going on. We're really just embracing a diversity of actions, because diverse actions reach diverse audiences.
I wanted to start with this because Europe is about ideas. We need new ideas. We need more people to think about how we can change things, how we can fix things, how we can reform, how we can bring the European Union closer to the people we represent, how we can make Europe less about bureaucracy and more about change.
What kind of change? We are all more or less engaged in the youth sector or the social sector. We are promoting also this idea of a European Union. And this word of change, even if we have diverse sectors of activity, is what brings us together.
Now, we cannot take our project for granted, not anymore. We must stand up for Europe, and we must make Europe more relevant to people.
It's time to come together. It's time to vote. It's time for change. It's time to vote.
Thank you very much. I'm Reinhard, and it's a great pleasure to welcome you here at the Berlin Center for Civic Education.
Lass uns beginnen, Mädels.
Lass uns beginnen, Mädels.
Okay. Nee, kommt.
And the goal of this specific event, which is an artistic competition, is basically to bring all citizens to talk about Europe, youth, and how to involve more people in those topics by the means of art. Art is an interesting means to connect people because it's connected to senses, so you can be more creative. It provides more inspiration to talk about subjects that in the first moment can seem to be too complex, you know, like how to talk about Europe, how to talk about why is it important to vote, or how can we touch more young people from rural area so that they engage in those topics. Young people feel disconnected from the EU, and that's maybe not applies only to young people, but people feel disconnected. They feel that the EU is too far from them, and they don't know first how they can make a difference, and they are afraid of it because those are big institutions. They are a bit overwhelmed with all the challenges that the world is facing, so they don't really know where to start and how to act, so they tend to just give up somehow and say, so I stay outside of this.
If you want to know why I'm here wearing the EU stars, it's because I want everybody to know that even though I'm not an EU citizen anymore, I still feel European in my heart. And I also want to implore you to use the rights in the upcoming EU elections, which I no longer have. I can't vote. Please vote for me. The glasses were an idea of one of our change makers. Here in the middle, this is Cindy from Spain. And we love this idea, so we made these glasses, we took them to Berlin, and we even got the President of the European Parliament, Roberta Metsola, to wear them for this photo. The idea behind the youth glasses is also to ask politicians and older people to see things from the youth perspective when they come to vote in the elections.
Youth is an important first step for our organization to be thinking about the European election, right? We really work at the local level here in Greece, and a big part of our inspiration and what we're trying to do is to move young people to become active citizens. When we're thinking about how to address apathy with young people, it's so multifaceted and there's not one answer. And I think coming out of COVID especially, we have all gotten so used to consuming information from our phones and not connecting with one another. But I'm hoping that through projects like this and through programs like ours that are really focusing on connecting people and that connective tissue and spend more time together connecting and finding what we do have in common, because that's what will take us past apathy.
Not alone, but as a community, we can make a difference. Ekogenea does programs that mobilize young Greeks for both objectives, and I'm so happy to be part of it.
Today the event was really nice. We had an event trying to convince and give incentives to young people to participate in the upcoming European elections. We had 9 different speakers from different backgrounds, political, social, economical backgrounds. We need to realize and understand that we are connected. We are connected via values, via strengths, via bonds. In order to have active voters, we need to have an active generation. Via organizations and via workshops like this, we're going to give incentives to people to learn more about the importance of voting, to learn more about the importance of democracy, and try to attract them to get there and vote.
Together EU is a community powered by the European Parliament for everyone, for every citizen who wants to get involved in democracy actively. Sometimes people want to do something, but they don't know how, and they feel alone. And that's why Together EU was born, to offer a sense of community. If you want to do something for democracy in Europe, you're not alone. We put you in touch with people who have the same wishes as you. And also we give you the tools, for example, with courses and with materials that you find online. So it's really a way for you to not be alone in this activism for democracy in Europe. If you're not voting, someone else votes. And it is important, also with the shrinking young population in Europe, that the voice of younger people who are really, will be living with the consequences of these votes, that they have a say in it. Young people have the most to gain and to lose if they don't go to vote.
I would say that a huge part of Polish legislation is actually it's literally the law from Brussels. So the decision, every single decision that is being made in Brussels by the European Parliament, European Commission, has direct impact on our lives and the future.
I strongly believe that it's really important to vote. It doesn't matter if it's election in Europe, in your country. I feel that it's an obligation as a society that I gladly fulfill. Well, actually, in our last Polish elections, young people played an immense role because they turned the tables, in fact, because the government that we have previously changed completely within a year. And for us as Polish people, that's, well, absolutely great news. And if it wasn't for those young people who stood up and decided to change the world, we wouldn't be here.
Yeah, so the turnout was incredible. We hit almost 75%, which was amazing, especially for the Poland, when normally the turnout is quite low. I feel that young people were trying to be heard for the first time, and they were very frustrated for the situation that was happening for the past 8 years, and that motivated them to go vote.
Me, as a Polish person, I'm still a part of the huge community that is Europe. And if I don't participate in those bigger elections, how can I decide about the smaller things that are happening in my country? Every vote you put is your opinion. So if you want something to change, if you want to gain something, You cannot do it otherwise than by voting. It's presenting your position and your point of view. So if you want to be heard, you have to vote.
Normally, in Germany, you start to vote at the age of 18. Now for the European elections, you can start to vote at 16. That is fascinating. So all of a sudden, more and more and more people, younger people, get to vote. And if they're clever, they can make a difference. I know that the priorities I had when I was 16 or 18 are different from the priorities from today. And this is why this vote is so important. And this is also why to vote is so important. So it is important to go to vote, to get to know what is important for younger people.
We're also making a music video. This is for social media. Again, it's trying to like make it a bit more fun. Got some content for, you know, TikTok, Reels, Instagram, that kind of thing. Obviously, I am preaching to the converted here. I don't really need to tell any of you to vote. We're also trying to reach people that don't normally engage with these spheres or operate in these kind of bubbles. This is why we're embracing kind of creative actions as well, and the documentary is about exploring that and how to kind of reach those people that aren't necessarily engaged politically.
In my personal opinion, young people are this kind of engine for a democracy. Most of the new great initiatives come from young people, and young people are the ones who want to see change. By voting, your ideas, your views can be represented in EU actions in the future 5 years. European Parliament had a great number of initiatives supporting Ukraine. Thus, European Parliament elections would define the scale and urgency of support to Ukraine, which is crucial for us to win this war and bring peace to Europe.
I think he was insulting it, but I would like to embrace it.
Under the YEUF project, we are trying to do so many different events and activities, trying to bring awareness about Europe, about voting, and also trying to understand with some projects why people don't vote and really go country by country, understand them and speak with them. For example, here at the Global Democracy, we have some session where youth can speak, like young people can speak and feel heard, and we see people being like, oh, thank God, I finally be heard. They just need people to listen to them most of the time.
Well, the public that we deal with especially are the most disenfranchised, disenchanted. They are completely removed from any community-based or political decision-making. And I think inequality is really an issue that is 100% political, but when you suffer from inequality, you feel completely abandoned by the political system. So one of the ways that we're trying to engage with people on their territory is by trying to get to them through something that they're interested in. Now, in this case, we're working with a teenager who had suffered gender-based violence. So she's very, very interested in efforts to stop this from happening in the future. So the way we connected with her was through the directive that is currently under discussion at the EU on gender-based violence. Now, this person had no idea that this was being discussed, even though you can hit them with statistics like 70% of the laws that govern your life are decided at the EU level. Now, it doesn't really reach people in the same way that going through a topic that interests them.
Well, I think it's really important because if you want to live like in good conditions and with a nice future, you have to like speak and say what you want. So by voting in the elections, you can like have a little decision over it, and you can like just decide your future, you know?
Another thing that we try and do with young people is reach them through social media. And this helps us engage with people through Instagram, through TikTok, and through other means that really try and frame problems in a way that is more familiar to them.
like Instagram or Twitter or so many other like media work a lot in reaching young people, but it's more about peer-to-peer. So this is why we're trying to do in the YEUF project, where we have change makers, so young people, trying to connect with young people, telling them their experience. We have just to let the youngsters do their stuff, because most of them know what they are doing, and trying to reach as much people as possible. So social media, but also young people.
Is our first project based on the political acts. And that's why for us it was a challenge, but it was also a very nice project, because we noticed that the young people likes a lot politics and likes a lot Europe. But when Europe come to them, and this is the key action of our activities. It was always dynamic, it was always raising questions and try to solve the questions and to give an answer to the questions. Young people want to be listened by everybody. When they notice that the others listen their ideas, they are very comfortable to share with us their ideas. There are a kind of internal motivation to appear in the community and to participate, because participation, it's not a strategy, it's a right. And they need to know that is a right, to listen carefully the words from the youth. And for me, this is the very interesting challenge for all MEPs that will be elected in between 6 and 9 of June.
I've been trying to work to inspire and engage more young people with voting in elections. And what I've noticed about why young people become apathetic and they don't engage, it's usually due to the pressures of the society and, studies, work, trying to get on the housing ladder, pressure to start a family, etc. All of these stresses preoccupying their minds, and politics, it's just too much to engage with this as well. So what I believe is that we need to make politics more fun, so that people want to spend their leisure time and their free time engaging in political debates and ultimately voting in elections, and making it easy to engage by like wearing a badge, taking some photographs with our glasses. This is the best way to engage young people. It's light touch, but it's joyful. And it engages those people that are apathetic, and those are the people that we need to engage. So if I can give one piece of advice on engaging young people in politics, it's make it fun, make it bold, make it joyful, and share it through social media.
So my hope for the EU elections is definitely that people will vote with the climate in mind.
And European Union with Ukraine in it.
And having like no discrimination and a great sense of union.
Feeling included and including everyone in Europe.
Young people being able to be more empowered, feel that they have the future in their own hands.
And I really hope that many people will go to vote, because this will also be a statement. If many young people vote, people will listen more.
It matters, because this election will determine the direction of Europe for the next 5 years. The future of Europe will be defined by our ability to remain sovereign, by our ability to defend democracy at home and abroad, and by our ability to keep people at the heart of all decisions.
Now, just before we go, I'd like to share this QR code with you. If you scan it, you can find out more about Together EU and join the platform to stay informed about all activities financed by the European Union in your local area. And this QR code, where you can be reminded about the upcoming European elections from the 6th to the 9th of June. Happy voting, everybody!